believe you're all from Sydney, is that right? No. Oh, okay. I was told Sydney, so well, that's the first joke I'll have to forget about. Any of you been here before? Yeah. Oh, only a couple, yeah, okay. All right, well I'll make sure I don't trip on that cord. Look, there are four features that, in my opinion, distinguish Griffith from just about any other part of regional Australia. And the first is that it's in the centre of the Murrumbidgee irrigation area. Is it up here?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. Yep. Which is the largest in Australia and arguably the most productive. The second is that water, sunshine and good soils result in a can-do attitude that I better sit down, I think. It permeates the local agricultural community and also the wider service community, because every year there's a commodity that's doing okay that is grown in the local area, unlike most other parts of regional Australia where they're relying on the Almighty to send down the rain. The fourth is that we've got a large multicultural community that all get on pretty well together and contribute to the cosmopolitan nature of the city. Word for rain or water. It's not the local Aboriginal language. And we're just going to pull up on the left here a little way along, because I want to point out some local memorials. This memorial probably easily seen by those on the left, and hopefully those on the right can get a look. It's a Fairy Firefly aircraft. It's right at the left of the coach at the moment, and that's a memorial to our airmen. That aircraft was used in the latter stages of the Second World War and also in the Korean War on anti-aircraft ships. It was a bit controversial at the time because about half our population are of Italian descent, and of course they were on the other side during the Second World War, but we managed to get over that. You'll see a wheel on top of a column that's revolving. Every irrigation farm had one of those at the highest point where the water entered the farm. It would revolve, the force of the water would revolve the wheel, and that would record the amount of water that the farmer used. They've been replaced in recent years by more high-tech electronic flow meters. On the left, the area hotel. When the town was founded in 1916, the area was dry. I guess they figured that grog and constructing irrigation canals wasn't a good mix. So although the town started 103 years ago, the first hotels didn't appear until the mid to late 20s. Hotel on the left, dating from 1925. The white building on the left used to be the headquarters of Water Resources Commission. It then became Murrumbidgee Irrigation, owned by the irrigators, but it's out of town now. It needed more room. This is very similar, same architect, same design. High school up until the start of this year. They've combined the two public high schools into one. It's got a few teething problems, but it's hoped that it will. And we're about to cross the main canal again. You'll get a better look at it. It's width. It's not all that deep. That's the main irrigation canal. Thanks, Lou, and turn left and pull up to Centenary in 2016. Former local member who retired here, Noel Hicks, is an amateur sculptor, and he suggested a sculpture symposium which attracted 7 international sculptors from countries as far away as Italy, the Netherlands, Germany, and also New Zealand and Australia and Japan. And they were each given a slab of granite and asked to sculpt their interpretation of water or irrigation. Granite was used to deter vandals, and so far it seems to have worked. Usually I never see them again, but of course Lou's a local, so St Albans Cathedral on the left. Turn left, thanks. Griffith Base Hospital, currently under redevelopment. Other about one benefit of the hospital safety before, and it shares the Griffith Base Hospital site. Still standing. Lou, after what, 6 between us? Coming up on the left, North Griffith Public School. Made the place have come from Europe.
Ah, yeah, of course.
We also have a line that goes to Luton, Narrandera and Junee and joins up with the main Sydney Melbourne line. There's a farm, there's a citrus farm I think that pulled the trees out and it's been rezoned for residential purposes. End of our main street, Better Avenue. To the left it becomes Bicken Canal again here. Irrigation tends to close at this time of year for 2 or 3 months. Out of doing that, and at about that time the CSIRO, which had a presence here, one of the scientists developed this spinning cone column, fairly complicated piece of machinery, but I believe initially it was to remove the alcohol from wine so that the local product could be exported to the Middle East. They would have been harvested in February, March, and so they'll be pruned over the winter months, and then come spring they'll be back in leaf. Yeah, so turn right here, thanks.
been so well behaved, you're about 15 minutes early. So the other group is just finishing up now. So where you see the coach ahead of you, just in front of that is the cellar door. So any of you who are wanting to actually purchase, you might want to go there first. And as soon as the other group's done, we'll bring you just over here into the garden for your wine tasting.
Whereabouts do you live? So you'll be looking at
So what we're going to do today is we're going to taste 4 wines with Julie Mortlock, our senior winemaker. So we will bring the glasses to you and then we'll come and top them up. What you might want to do is do a little rinse in between, and my helper's just gone to get some more water.
So Vittorio de Bortoli in 1924, after the war, was looking for something better for his family to move to. He went to the dock to hop on a boat. He had a choice of America or Australia. He chose Australia just for no reason, one way or the other. Landed in Melbourne, then had to find some work. And at that period, there's a lot of Italian workers in the Griffith region picking fruit. You know, it's a well-known, you know, orange region and lots of fruit. So there was lots of work for, you know, non-speaking English people and a lot of Italians, so they could, you know, communicate with each other. And like most good Italians, they love a wine with their food. So Vittorio started to make a little bit of wine for himself to have with his meals. Then all his mates said, "Oh, can I have some wine too? Can you make me some?" And essentially that's how the business started in 1924. Today we're run by the third generation of the family. They often say the third generation stuffs it up, but so far so good. we do remind Darren that occasionally. So the second generation, which was Darren's father, Dean, he drove a lot of the expansion of the company. We're not only based, this is our home base, which is where we all started. We also have a winery in the Yarra Valley just outside of Melbourne. We bought in the 1980s. 6 months ago we bought a winery in the Rutherglen region in the north of Victoria. And we also have vineyards in central Victoria in the Heathcote region and in the northeast in the King Valley. So we're spread far and wide these days, which gives us a wider range of wines. If you've just been into cellar door, you would have seen a lot of them. And that's actually not everything. Sandy doesn't, you know, stock the vast, you know, from the other wineries, not every single range, because there's just too many of them. This has, for me, I see some gooseberries, bit of citrus character. It's got a little hint of vanilla because about 60% of this wine was fermented in some old French oak barrique. So we're not really looking for the oak characters per se, but just a little bit of texture to the wine. It has some spicy characters. It goes quite well with, you know, Thai foods, things like that. Something has a little bit of spice to complement it. It's a variety that, you know, some people have probably never heard of. You know, Verdelho, it's been around a long time, but, you know, a lot of people have never seen it or even tasted it. So chalk numbers on batch to mark them out. Probably did in the days before.
one we've been waiting to hear about.
So I need to make. Well, in America they do call it petite Syrah. Little Syrah. It also was one of my previous cat's names. Because he had attitude, and so does this wine. It wasn't red, but they certainly both have attitude. Produced by a cross between two wines by a gentleman called, I kid you not, Dr. Giriffe. It is a true story. And it's widely planted in this region because it really loves the warmth of this region. You're probably saying, well, hang on, what are you talking about today? But in summer, it is quite a very hot region, so it loves the warmth, it loves to get a lot nice and ripe. Because for me, when you're tasting that, it's a bit like drinking my Christmas cake or my Christmas pudding. It's got lots of different fruits in it, it's got some spice in it, it's got some chocolate in it. It spends about 12 months in American oak. It's only a small proportion of new because we don't want a lot of oak character, but we want to mature and soften the tannins because as a young wine, those tannins are quite aggressive in your mouth. So it is a wine that needs a little bit of time before it drinks at its best. Right weather conditions, you need a little bit of moisture and a little bit of warmth to get that humidity up, so that the botrytis attacks the grape. It then draws out all the water out of the grape and leaves this amazing sugar and all the amazing flavours you see in this wine. This particular wine, the majority of the fruit came from the vineyard on your left as you drove in this morning, our Chauncey vineyard, which was the last vineyard that Dean had planted before his passing. So it's sort of nice that vineyard ends up in, you know, his labelled wine at the end of the day. This sees a little bit of oak, so there's a portion of it fermented on some oak staves, and they're just essentially pieces of barrel we throw in the tank. There's a portion of it that is in some older barrels, but the most of it, this one, is unoaked because we want those lovely fresh citrusy characters coming through. It's often referred to as a dessert wine. I actually refer to it as a sweet table wine because it's not just for dessert. You know, French have their sauternes with foie gras at the beginning of the meal. I've seen it done with oysters. The salt and the sweetness go well together. I don't eat oysters, so I can't actually say that. That's what they told me. I've seen it done with a little goat's cheese tart as an entree. So, yeah, we just need to think outside the square. Is our show liqueur muscat. Now, this is a fortified wine. So, you know, along the lines of your ports, except we're not allowed to call it port anymore, but you know what I'm talking about. Yep. But this is made from muscat grapes. So, in our case, red Frontignac and some muscat Hamburg. Now, they're picked a lot riper than we would pick wines to make table wines. So, about a third sweeter again. And then we'll put it in a tank and we'll partially ferment it. And then we'll add some grape spirit. And that will stop the fermentation. Now, this, which is an alcohol, which has to be grape dry to be able to call it wine. So we add some grape spirit, that stops the fermentation, and that leaves it quite, isn't that good? And then it goes into some old barrels to age. And it gets, not quite forgotten about, but this bottle has an average age of 8 years. So it's, you know, it's in year 3 at school, it's still got a little bit of time to grow up. But it has, you know, there's portions of it in this that are like 15 years old that add a little bit of complexity to the wine, and there's some little bit of, you know, there might be a little bit of 5-year-old in it, and Daisy's come to say hello, the resident dog. She's just checking if there's any leftovers for her. So yeah, it's blended to an average age of 8. It's quite luscious, it's got lots of raisin characters in it, a little bit coffee, dried fig, dried fruit characters. Perfect at the end of the meal with my cheese platter again. You didn't think I only eat cheese on this rate. Nothing wrong with that. The end of our wines for today. I hope you've enjoyed them all. I know you've been to Celador, but if you want to go back and purchase any of these wines that you've just tasted, you know, more than welcome.
Oh, there it is.
Who was on